Ladies and gentlemen, Stephanie Dodier.
Hello, everyone. So today we're going to talk about going beyond the food, but before we get there, I want to share with you my personal journey that's going to help you understand this whole concept of going beyond the food. So this is me, on which is your left side, the taller girl. I've always been a girl that's taller than everyone, that's bigger than everyone, big round face. I actually did my first diet at the age of 11. My mom dropped me off at Weight Watcher. Literally put me out of the car and said, go figure it out on your own. As you can imagine, that didn't work for me. And at 15, went on to my next diet, which actually worked. Same type of low-fat eating back late 80s, beginning of the 90s. But the difference was that I was with a group of people that were supporting me, my aunts and my cousin. So it actually worked for me, and I lost, if I remember right, 60 pounds at that time, and I was getting into high school, so my life changed. Got a whole bunch of friends. Life went on, never had a weight issue again till the age of 26. At 26, my fiancé left me 2 weeks prior to my wedding. So as you can only imagine how I felt, and as a mean of coping with that, I went to food, because food made me feel better. And I also got into the overworking situation and performing through my work, which paid off. In some people's perspective, I went from being a cashier to an executive vice president of my company in a matter of 10 years. So that put things in perspective for you of how much it took place and it was important in my life. However, at 36 years old, 10 years into this big career where everybody thought I had achieved everything that everybody want, money, career, life was good, I actually collapsed on stage. Part of my work was to speak to my employees, and just before getting on stage, I actually collapsed. And they sent me to the hospital to be diagnosed with panic attack. And at that time, I was severely overweight. I was about 75 pounds heavier than I am today, 300 plus pounds. So everybody thought it was a heart attack, not panic attack. So when I left the hospital, I took charge and lost a bunch of weight and went back to gaining weight again. And that's what led me through my personal journey to ask myself a question. When we look at statistics about weight loss, what we know is that 91% of female are unhappy about their body and resort to dieting. And that was exactly my story my whole life. We don't have, unfortunately, statistics about men. I didn't find any statistics about men, but we know that likely 9 out of 10 women here have that same situation as I have. 95% of the people who diet will regain all of their weight within 1 to 5 years. And that is indifferent to the type of diet or lifestyle that they're doing. They will just go on and regaining their weight. 43% of people eat to alter their emotion, just like I did. My question to you, is that you? That's why I prone an approach that goes beyond the food, because what I have observed, not only in my own journey, but in my practice with my followers online or my clients, is that it's more than just food. What about if food, calories, macros weren't the answer to all of our health problems? What if our food choices was more than discipline, motivation, and mental strength? What if there was more than sugar and carbohydrate addiction? What if the answer wasn't more restriction and obsession about the way we eat? What if our obesity crisis was just not a medical problem? I'm not denying that it is. Sorry, I just skipped Can we go back one slide? Oh. We're having computer issue. Okay. I'm not denying that obesity is a medical issue. I'm just saying, could it be more than just a medical issue? So a little bit about me. You know my personal journey, completely transparent with it. I have, at 36, when my health collapsed, I also quit my job. Went back to school, and I became a clinical nutritionist. So went back and did a degree in nutrition and started to educate myself to find the answer for my patient, for my followers, and for myself. And I took a whole bunch of different certification, from personal training to fascial stretch therapy to biotherapeutic drainage. I did both the natural, the functional aspect to health. And what I've realized is that is all good, but the mental and the mindset aspect of this journey we're all on here today, whatever be it from a leadership perspective, from someone who wants to get their health better, is more than just science. And that's what we're going to talk about today. It means having an approach that will be more consistent, easier, that will bring you not only weight loss or better health, but it would bring you joy, happiness, self-confidence, balance, self-motivation, so you won't need to push so hard. And that approach consists of three main phases, which is looking at your health from a total health perspective and the connection between your body, your mind, and your relationship to food. Now, by the end of the presentation today, I have call it a quote-unquote gift for you. So if you text to this number that is right here and you text the word craving, you will get what I have created, which is called a Crave Cure Guide. It's a PDF. And you will also get access to 3 of my online classes. Because what I teach is very difficult for me to present in 20 minutes, so I'm giving you access to those 3 classes along with my guide to explore further if that's something that is good for you. So that was me at 36 years old. As I said to you, I was really sick, was diagnosed with prediabetes, high cholesterol. I was inflamed. I ate at McDonald's all the time and Tim Hortons. I had what I call in my world a Yoda moment. Anybody's had some of those? You know those moments in your life where you know this is going to change the rest of your life. This is what I call my ha-ha or Yoda moment, and that came to me after my panic attack, leaving my doctor's office with a prescription script with antidepressant and anti-anxiety. That was his solution to my problem. And at that moment, I still have the image of the prescription and me like trashing it in the trash can and said, there has to be something else. And I actually went on to hire somebody, a health coach back in those days, 6 years ago, that explained to me how I needed to look at health and how I needed to look at what I had, which was dis-ease. I had a disease of panic attack, but it wasn't a disease, it was a dis-ease. And he went on to explain to me the difference between how we used to heal people in the ancient medicine versus modern medicine. And the big difference is in the traditional type of medicine, such as traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurvedic medicine, is that we looked at the whole body. Not just at food, not just at blood sugar, not just at an element of your health, but the whole body, and we wanted to bring the body back in balance, and that's what we did. We looked at every single part of health, and this conference today and yesterday, the talk, will bring you each aspect individually. So you have experts in the field of immune and health and digestion. I can think of Dr. Cole. This afternoon I saw Jackie Ebenstein, who's going to talk to you about hormones. We had Childers who talked to us about neurotransmitters. So I'm not going to touch upon this, but just to say that if you're looking at your health today for the reason why you're here, and you're only looking at the top part, which is diet and exercise, you are likely going to fall back into that 95% category of people who will regain, because you're not looking at your health and your body as a whole. That's what I did. So we went on to change almost every aspect of my life. I saw naturopath, chiropractor, osteopath to address every element of my health. In the bonus that I'm going to give you, there's a course in there called 7 Steps to Lead a Vibrant Life, and I introduce you to all those elements. Lost 100 pounds, and then I had another Yoda moment. I'm sitting behind my desk at work as an executive vice president of this big company, just lost 100 pounds, my health is better, and I have this Yoda moment, I'm not happy. And I couldn't understand why. I mean, like, I have the best weight I've ever had, I have the best body I've ever had, and I'm not happy. Like, fundamentally, not happy. If you've been there, if you've lost weight and you've got to that point of thinking like something doesn't work because society tells me if I lose weight, I will be happy, I can tell you that's not always the case. So my pursuit continued, and I really look as to why I wasn't happy. In a book, 2 books actually came into my life, one called The Anatomy of the Spirit by Dr. Carolyn Myss, which I highly recommend to read, and another book from Dr. Candace Pert, which is a researcher into the field of mind-body connection called Molecule of Emotion. Book that will change your life and help you understand this whole connection between what goes on in your head and your physical body. And one of the things that I teach is this whole triangle of your thoughts, your emotion, and your reaction. And a prime example of that is just before coming on stage today, right? I'm sitting in the back there, and all of a sudden my breath gets faster, my heart rate goes up, I start to sweat. There's no big tiger running after me trying to kill me. In my head, there's a thought, though, that people will judge me. Like I will get on stage, people will judge me. So there's a thought in my head going on, and with your thoughts, you actually trigger your emotion. So I started to be stressed. And with that come cortisol. Anybody know that stress hormone cortisol, right? Your thoughts in some situation will engage the production of cortisol. And many speakers have talked to you about the effect of cortisol on your health, on your weight loss capacity. So you can control your food as much as you want, you can exercise, but if you don't control what goes on into your head, you will actually create the emotion of stress, which will then create a whole bunch of biochemistry reaction into your body, affecting your physical and emotional health. Another great example of that in science, there's a concept called the placebo effect. And there's plenty of studies showing that when we give to study patients a placebo, like a fake medicine, but we tell them it's a real medicine, it has almost the same effect as the real medicine. Because the head, the mind, sends the message to body to heal. And that's called the placebo effect. You can look it up. There's a lot of study demonstrating that. So, worked on my happiness, worked on my weight, but through all of this, I was regaining weight. And I was trying to figure out why. I mean, I hate paleo food, like keto, low carb. I was taking supplements. I was seeing all my team of people that were helping me, and I was still gaining weight. And what I realized is that I was eating my emotion. Who's with me? I cannot see you, but I see a few hands raising. Who's with me? Awesome. That was my most recent Yoda moment, is craving, emotional eating, and binging, particularly in the context of a restrictive way of life. And no matter what you say about low carb and keto, for some people that's restrictive. They look at it as being somewhat deprived. They're doing it from the bottom of their heart to get better, like I was, but still there was a perception in the mind that we are deprived. So if we don't deal with that, if we don't learn to cope with that, and we don't learn to understand what it means, we are at risk, just like me, of regaining weight. One of the things you have to understand is we make about 200 food decisions a day. The vast majority of those food decisions are made from a subconscious mind. And if you want to know more about the conscious and subconscious mind, I would highly recommend the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you listen to my podcast, I've had him on the podcast, episode 65, game-changing episode that I recommend you go and listen. But Dr. Bruce Lipton is a researcher in the field of quantum physics, which explains the conscious and subconscious mind, and 96% of our behavior in general are from a subconscious mind level. For an example, how does your heart beat right now? You don't control that. That decision is made from a subconscious perspective. It's made without you having to think about it. So a vast majority of your eating behavior are there as well. Who has ever been to the fridge or to the cupboard looking through and realizing, how the hell did I get there? Who's been there? So that's the truth. How did you get there? Because your subconscious mind, the subconscious thought were trying to heal something, and you were drawn to old habits of going to the fridge to soothe. 43% of women alter their emotion with food from a subconscious perspective. So food craving, binging, emotional eating, in my world, it's all called body messages. Your body talks through you via your craving, via your binging. You are not doing that because you are a bad person. You are not doing that because you are lacking motivation. You are doing those behavior because there is something that is not balanced within your physical body, maybe at a hormonal level, or maybe in your mind there is some emotion that you do not know how to cope with. And that's what I teach. I help you, and that's what the Crave Cure Guide you will receive if you text the number, and I'll show it again before we end. That's what we began to teach you, is that relationship between your emotion and your craving within the context of you being responsible for the outcome of your health. It starts with food. It started with food for me, but it goes beyond the food. And that's what I'm inviting you today to do, is to think beyond the food. Start with food, because there's nothing you can do from a mindset perspective or from an emotional eating perspective if you're eating the standard North American diet, because you're being fed constantly with toxins and sugar and addictive substance. However, once you've cleaned up your diet, I am inviting you to go beyond the food, look at your health from a total perspective, and look at your craving, your emotional eating, or your urge to binge as a way of communication between your mind and your body. And again, that's the number to text, and automatically you will receive that email from me. I would also invite you, if you are a podcast listener, to listen to the Beyond the Food Show podcast, because I use this as a platform to introduce you to all the specialists who can help you look beyond the food. It's not a podcast about macros and what you should eat and shouldn't eat. It's a podcast about, like, having Dr. Will Cole coming in and teaching you about gut health. It's a podcast about talking about ways to be more self-confident so you can make better food decisions. So it's a great platform for you to come in and experience that and layer that into your ketogenic lifestyle and look at your body from a total health perspective. Thank you very much. We're going to go on to question. I think I have 1 minute left. Okay. I have 11 minutes left. If you have any question for me, I'm open to take questions. Doesn't look like we have any question, Brian. Thank you very much.